How are you feeling today? There is a kind of silence that doesn't live in a room, but right inside your chest. It doesn't make a sound, yet you can feel it, heavy, slow, and cold. It's that evening when you stare at your phone screen and realize weeks have passed without anyone messaging you first. No text to wait for, no greetings to reply to, only a silence, so dense you can hear your own heartbeat echoing in loneliness. You walk through a crowd, voices, laughter, music, lights, everything seems alive, except you. You still walk, still smile, still blend into the flow of people, but inside, you feel yourself dissolving like mist. No one knows there is a second self sitting quietly inside you, silent, observing, and wondering, does anyone truly want to know me? You can be strong, you can be successful, and still carry within you an emptiness nothing can fill. It's not the absence of friends, it's the absence of someone who understands your silence. That moment when you realize you hold the whole world in your hands but have no one to call and share it with. When you have hundreds of followers but not a single person who truly sees you, that is where the story begins. Not a story about introverts, nor about the odd ones out, but a story about souls that once wanted to connect, yet were made afraid by the world to open their hearts again. Because sometimes loneliness doesn't begin when we are left behind. It begins the moment we stop believing that someone will come back to find us. People often look at someone with few friends and say, they're probably reserved. They probably don't like socializing. They must have chosen to be alone. But the truth is, very few people choose that. No one wants to be the last person leaving a party. No one wants to spend their own birthday in silence. Behind that solitude is not a personality trait, but a survival mechanism of a soul that has been hurt. A person doesn't become cold for no reason. They were once warm until that warmth was taken advantage of. They once trusted until that trust was betrayed. They once shared until their words were turned into weapons against them. From that point on, the mind learns one thing. The less you open up, the less you get hurt. And so they withdraw. Not because they don't want to connect, but because every connection feels like a gamble. From a psychological perspective, this is called social learning through pain. The brain remembers the sting of that first betrayal and gradually programs an unconscious command. Don't let that happen again. You don't notice it, but within you lives a gatekeeper, always alert, always standing between you and the world, whispering each time you're about to trust someone. Be careful. Don't repeat the same mistake. And so, every time you try to share a personal story, one half of you grabs the other's hand and says, "Stop. They won't understand." Every time someone gets close, a part of you wants to run, even though deep down you still long to be held. You see, loneliness was never a choice. It is a consequence of a heart that has had to protect itself one too many times. Have you ever wondered, can loneliness actually change the brain? The truth is, it can. And it happens quietly, subtly, like raindrops falling on a rock. Not loud, but slowly eroding layers of awareness. When a person lives too long without connection, the brain begins to restructure itself. The neural pathways once used to read emotions, to understand glances, to catch the hidden meanings behind words, gradually fade. The regions of the brain responsible for processing social signals, like the amygdala or the prefrontal cortex, start becoming less active. As if the mind is teaching itself to forget interaction because the environment no longer allows it. This isn't weakness. It's the brain's natural form of adaptation. It's trying to protect you. Saying quietly, if this world isn't safe, then stop needing it. But that very survival mechanism becomes the perfect psychological trap, because once you've forgotten how to connect, you start finding people hard to understand. Conversations exhausting, and the presence of others overwhelming. At this point, loneliness is no longer just a feeling, it's a neural structure that has been programmed into you. Ironic, isn't it? The brain, the thing that keeps us alive, ends up making us distant from the very instinct that keeps us human: connection. It's like someone who's lived too long in the dark, and when the light finally appears, their eyes can no longer bear it, so they turn away. Not because they don't want to see the light, but because now the light hurts. No one is born afraid of connection. Every child, upon arriving in this world, wants to be seen. They raise their arms to be held. They smile when someone meets their gaze. They cry when no one answers their call. But somewhere along the path of growing up, something changed. Maybe it was the day you were excluded from the group, simply because you didn't fit in. Maybe it was the time you eagerly shared your secret with a friend, and the next day, the whole class knew. Or maybe it was when you opened up about something small and an adult responded with a cold shake of the head, "You're too weak." Those seemingly small moments were actually the first cracks in your trust. The child within you didn't understand it in words, but it felt it deeply. If I show my true self, I'll get hurt. So it began to withdraw. It learned to hide its feelings, to turn tears into laughter and fear into coldness. And from that, what we now call an introverted personality in adults is sometimes just the trace of a child who was wounded too early. If you pay attention, you'll see something quiet. That many lonely people share. They don't truly hate people. They're just afraid of feeling abandoned again. They don't say, "I don't need anyone." They're really saying, in another language, "I'm not sure I have the strength to trust one more time." And it's right here that we begin to understand loneliness doesn't come from the present. It is the echo of a cry from the past that no one ever answered. After enough wounds, a person stops waiting for someone else to protect them. They start building their own walls. At first, those walls are made of fear, a bit of caution, a bit of don't say too much, a bit of don't trust too quickly. But gradually, it becomes a habit of the soul. You begin to respond by shrinking inward, speaking a little less, sharing a little less. And one day, you don't even realize you've stopped giving anyone the chance to step in. The striking part is none of this happens consciously. It's an automation of emotion. Just as the body flinches at the touch of something hot, the mind recoils after being burned by misplaced trust. In psychology, this is called an unconscious defense mechanism. The brain is programmed to avoid re-experiencing pain, even if that means blocking out new, good things trying to reach you. So someone smiles at you, you assume it's just politeness. Someone invites you out, you suspect hidden motives. A message arrives late, you think you're being forgotten. And right there, you begin creating evidence to reinforce your fear. A self-fulfilling prophecy. You fear rejection, so you don't take initiative. You don't take initiative, so people think you're indifferent. They pull away and you sigh, "See, everyone leaves eventually." But in truth, no one left you. It's just that the wall inside you is too high for anyone to climb over. Someone once asked, "So what should I do with that wall?" The answer isn't to destroy it, but to place a small door in it. A door narrow enough for you to still feel safe, but open enough for light to come through, because if you keep it closed forever, you will indeed be safe, but you will also be truly alone. When the outside world becomes too loud, people seek refuge within. At first, it's a safe place, a space where you can sit with yourself, where no one can hurt you, where everything is under control. You learn how to be alone without fear. You begin to talk to yourself, to analyze everything, to think deeper, more subtly, and you find it's somewhat comforting. But over time, that refuge begins to change its nature. It's no longer a peaceful room, it becomes a transparent box. You can see the world, but you can no longer touch it. You find yourself observing more than living. You stand outside of every conversation like an audience member who no longer belongs to the stage. Everything feels distant. Sometimes you think you're being reflective, but in truth, you're trapped in an inner loop. You replay old memories, dissect every glance, every word, every reaction. You reconstruct conversations that never happened, and then you play both roles yourself. When there's no one left to talk to, the voices in your head grow louder than ever. It's no longer self-reflection, it's self-torment. You start to question every move you make. Did what I said sound weird? Are they quiet because they're busy or because they're tired of me? Why do I have to keep trying so hard? Those questions circle around endlessly until you no longer feel the present moment, only the echoes of memories and imagined scenarios. Your inner world, once a sanctuary, has now become a prison of thoughts. And the saddest part is you are the one holding the key, but you're afraid to open the door because you fear the light outside will be too bright. No one can see that prison. You still go to work, still smile, still reply to messages on time, but deep inside you know, each day you're living feels like sitting behind invisible bars. At this point, loneliness is no longer about lacking people. It's about losing the ability to touch the world. What's interesting is those who have experienced deep loneliness are rarely lacking in emotional sensitivity. In fact, they are often the most perceptive ones, because when you're no longer part of the crowd, you begin to see what those within it cannot. You notice the slightest change in someone's tone of voice. You see the forced smile hiding behind their eyes. You hear the exhaustion behind a simple, "I'm fine." Not because you were born sensitive, but because loneliness has trained you to become an observer. When there's no one left to talk to, you start listening more carefully, looking more deeply, feeling more full. And that very detachment cultivates a rare kind of emotional intelligence. You understand people, sometimes even more than they understand themselves. You know when to stay silent, when to step back, and when a gentle touch can heal more than 1,000 comforting words. Yet this gift carries a paradox. When you see too clearly into human nature, you begin to doubt sincerity itself. You notice how many relationships are just social performances, polite words wrapped in the disguise of care, handshakes without warmth, smiles are exchanged for advantage rather than affection. You start to see the stage behind every conversation, and naturally, you grow tired. You long for something real, a gaze that doesn't need effort, a sentence that isn't meant to impress, a presence that exists without conditions. But the more you understand, the lonelier you become. Because the more you see, the harder it is to trust. And when it's hard to trust, you withdraw again. That is the paradox of those with high emotional intelligence. They understand the emotions of others, yet rarely find anyone who can truly understand them. But within that tragedy lies a quiet beauty. For those who can see this deeply are also those who can love deeply, feel deeply, and connect at levels few ever reach. Perhaps you haven't met that person yet, but the very fact that you can still see, still feel, still long for something genuine is proof that your heart has never truly died. There is a deeply human paradox in our psychology. The more we long for connection, the more we fear opening our hearts. Those who have been deeply hurt are often not afraid of loneliness. They're afraid of being disappointed one more time. You may crave to be listened to. But when someone sincerely asks, are you okay? You smile and say, I'm fine. You want to be understood, but when someone comes closer, you build an invisible wall, hoping they'll reach you while secretly praying they won't take another step. Because inside there's still a quiet voice, so small yet persistent, whispering, "If I trust the wrong person again, I won't survive it." And so you learn to wait for someone patient enough, safe enough, and sensitive enough to understand you without needing you to explain too much. To wait for a gaze that makes you feel you can finally take off your armor without fear of being judged, misunderstood, or abandoned. But the more you wait, the lonelier you become, because the person is sensitive enough to understand you is often just as afraid as you are. Two sensitive souls standing on opposite sides of the glass wall of caution, both wanting to open up, yet neither daring to be the first. Loneliness is no longer an individual problem. It has become a contagious illness of our age, where everyone has been hurt and everyone wears armor. The world grows louder, but inside each person, there is a cautious silence. Everyone talks a lot, but few truly say what they feel. Everyone smiles, but few smile out of peace. And you, the one hearing these words, perhaps you know that feeling too well, wanting to reach someone, but afraid your hands will tremble. There are people who aren't afraid of pain. They're only afraid that this time will end up just like the last. There comes a moment in the journey of loneliness when your greatest fear is no longer being abandoned, but the thought that maybe you're not worth staying for. It's when you look in the mirror and are no longer sure whether you are kind, lovable, or interesting enough for anyone to want to reach out. No one has to say it to you. You are the one who starts believing it, silently, persistently, and cruelly. Every time someone cancels a plan, you tell yourself, "I knew it, they're probably getting tired of me." Every time a message goes unanswered for a while, you assume they must be avoiding me. Even without evidence, you believe it, because that belief has become the habit of fear. Doubt slowly eats away at your ability to see goodness. Someone compliments you. You think they're just being polite. Someone shows care. You assume they have an agenda. Someone genuinely wants to understand you. You whisper to yourself, they'll leave eventually. The more you want to be loved, the more guarded you become. The more you long to be understood, the more you hide yourself. And so, you end up trapped in a strange loop, longing for someone to see you while doing everything possible to stay unseen. In psychology, this is the result of social mirroring deprivation. Without the mirrors of genuine friends, we start to see ourselves through the lens of memory, the times we were abandoned, judged, or dismissed. And from there, our self-image becomes distorted, without us even realizing it. Eventually, you stop feeling good enough to step outside. You hesitate to speak, to show up, to let others endure your presence. But the saddest part is, you don't know that there are so many people out there who would truly find you precious if only you gave them the chance. Self-doubt makes you play the role of the rejected one, when in truth, no one was ever trying to reject you. What hurts you now is no longer other people, but the voice inside your head that keeps repeating, "I'm not enough." Perhaps you felt this before, that feeling of having to seem okay among familiar faces, to smile at the right moments, to respond just enough to say, "I'm fine," when deep down all you want is silence. You go to a gathering, stand among lively conversations, and it feels as though you're watching a play. Everyone is cheerful, everyone seems close, but that joy doesn't reach you. You smile because not smiling would be awkward. You nod because not nodding would seem cold. And so, you become the lead actor in someone else's life, while no one realizes you're just trying to survive the evening. That's the survival instinct of someone who has been hurt, playing the role of being okay to avoid attention. because society dislikes silence and people rarely have the time to truly notice what a smile might be hiding. But the irony is that very okayness makes others believe you truly are okay. No one knows you're tired. No one asks further, because you've become too good at convincing them that you don't need help. You build a perfect shell, friendly enough not to be alienated, but distant enough so no one can touch what's real. And gradually, that role of being okay becomes your second self. You no longer know whether you're smiling from joy or just to hide something. You grow tired of trying to blend in, yet you fear being seen as different. You fear loneliness, but you also fear others seeing your loneliness. And so, day after day, you wear an invisible mask, heavy yet subtle, enough to survive, but not enough to be real. Loneliness now is no longer about being alone. It's being surrounded by people, while having to hide yourself. But don't rush to blame yourself, because sometimes pretending to be okay is the survival instinct of a soul that has once shattered. It's just that if one day you find yourself too exhausted to keep acting, know that it's not weakness. It's your heart whispering, I just want to be real for once. We are living in a strange era, an era where people can talk to each other with a single touch, yet feel farther apart than ever before. You scroll through social media and see people living, going out, gathering, laughing brightly, sharing moments that seem so genuine. But as you scroll past those pictures, a quiet question echoes inside you. Why do I feel so out of place? You're not jealous. You just feel like you don't belong in that world. A world where everyone seems to always have someone beside them, always have somewhere to go, and always have something to say. And you, every time you open an app, it's only to check if someone messaged you. Then quietly close it again. Nothing is wrong. There's just no one truly waiting for you. The digital world has turned people into performances. We construct the brightest versions of ourselves, share things beautiful enough to be liked, funny enough to be noticed, and safe enough not to be judged. But amid those perfectly filtered photos, we lose the truest thing, presence. No one looks into anyone's eyes. No one truly listens. All that remains are notifications, likes, and a very real emptiness once the screen goes dark. The irony is, we are more connected than ever, but understand each other less than ever. We text instead of calling. We react instead of listening. We share emotions without truly feeling them, and slowly we lose track of which parts of us are real and which were created just to be seen. But perhaps the scariest thing is not being abandoned. It's when we start believing that those virtual presences are enough to replace the real ones. We sit before our screens talking to hundreds of people, yet feel an emptiness right at the center of our chest. An emptiness no Wi-Fi signal can ever fill. And when you power off, when the screen's glow fades away, there's only you and yourself. In that moment, you understand. What you've been missing is not more interactions, but one real person who chooses to stay. There's something people rarely talk about. When there's no one left to share with, emotions don't disappear. They just stay, quietly, lingering. And little by little, they turn into a blocked current within the soul. Joy, when not shared, becomes a brief smile that fades like a breath. Sadness, when unseen by anyone, lingers longer than it should. And anger, when unreleased, doesn't vanish. It simply changes direction and turns inward. We call it emotional self-control, but in truth, it's emotional imprisonment. Silently, we become collectors of memories, gathering every untold story, every tear that never had the chance to fall, and keeping them in an invisible box labeled, "It's fine." Then one day, you suddenly feel tired and don't know why. not from overwork, but from carrying too many unsaid things. Emotions need to breathe too. But when we've lived in isolation for too long, they have only one place left to go: inward. And when all the joy, sorrow, anger, and regret are locked away, they start to transform into something else: numbness. You no longer feel excited by what once made you happy, no longer feel sad when something sad happens. Everything seems to pass through a thick layer of glass. You can see it, but you can't touch it anymore. That is the most frightening stage of loneliness, when you can no longer cry. You don't explode, you don't collapse, you just drift, quietly, aimlessly, numbly, as if the heart has chosen to shut itself off so it won't have to endure another wound. And yet, beneath that stillness, the emotions are still there, waiting for someone safe enough, patient enough, real enough for you to finally say, "I've been holding this inside for too long." Emotions don't need advice. They just need to be seen. They only need someone to sit beside them, not to fix, not to judge, but to listen with genuine presence. Because healing doesn't always come from answers. Sometimes it comes from the simple realization that at last you don't have to hold it all alone anymore. When you've lived through long seasons of loneliness, so long that you've grown used to it, one day, very quietly, you begin to notice something shifting. It's no longer an intense pain, no longer the desperate urge to escape, but a calm kind of observation. You begin to see yourself more clearly. You realize you've spent so many years searching for someone who understands you, but have never truly understood yourself. And in that stillness, something miraculous happens. You start to speak to yourself differently, no longer with blame or fear or torment, but with compassion. You begin to understand why you withdrew, why you feared trusting again, why old wounds still sting whenever you hear a familiar voice. And for the first time, instead of denying it, you whisper, so that's it. I was hurt that deeply. You don't need anyone to comfort you, just your own acknowledgement, and the pain suddenly softens by half. Isolation, which once felt like punishment, reveals itself as a doorway to awareness. It forces you to sit still and discern what is real from what is borrowed. What is the voice of your true nature? And what is merely a learned reflex to be the person who pleases everyone? You realize, so often what hurts isn't what others did wrong, but the fact that you've lived too long playing a role that was never yours. And when you begin to see that, something inside you gently softens. Not weakness, but return. You stop forcing yourself to fit in. You stop trying to be agreeable just to stay. You stop seeking someone to validate your worth, because now you understand peace doesn't come from being understood by someone else, but from understanding yourself enough that you no longer need to prove anything. From that point on, loneliness is no longer a punishment. It becomes a sacred stillness, a space where the soul can finally look at itself, and the heart learns how to stand firm without turning to stone. There is a paradox often found in those who have been lonely for too long. Once you understand too much, it becomes hard to live simply. You see the motives behind every word, you hear the hidden meanings behind jokes that seem harmless. You notice when someone is trying to appear kind just to be liked, and when someone is staying silent simply to avoid getting hurt again. You see the entire stage of life, the lights, the props, and even the dark corners behind the curtain. And because of that, you can no longer enjoy the play as you once did. You start asking yourself, is this person sincere or just being polite? Is that compliment genuine? Do they like me, or are they just trying to be kind? Understanding is supposed to be light, but when the light shines too close, it exposes all the cracks that people once tried to hide, and so While others live carefree, you grow weary from seeing too much. Sometimes you wish you could go back, to believe a compliment without dissecting it, to laugh at a story without analyzing it, to trust someone without needing to be cautious. But once you've awakened, you cannot go back to sleep. Once you've seen human nature clearly, you cannot pretend you haven't. That is a tragedy of those awakened by awareness. The more you understand people, the lonelier you become among them. Because the more you perceive, the less you expect. The less you expect, the less you're disappointed. And the less you're disappointed, the further you stand from the world's simple joys. Yet if you look deeper, there is a hidden gift in that paradox. When you can see through pretense, you also learn to cherish authenticity, no matter how small. A word unembellished, a person who listens without needing to fully understand, a warm glance that needs no explanation. Because after walking through so many layers of illusion, you finally realize how simple and how precious truth really is. And so, you stop seeking perfection, stop demanding that someone be as deep as you, and simply appreciate whoever is genuine in this moment. Understanding is no longer a burden. It becomes a clear lens, allowing you to see life more vividly, but without judgment. And in that clarity, loneliness ceases to be distance. It becomes the freedom of someone who no longer needs to pretend. And then, after all the layers of emotion have passed, the fear, the defenses, the empty nights, the days of pretending to be fine, you suddenly realize something very simple. Loneliness has never been about the lack of people. It is a sign that you have lost the thread of connection with yourself. Because when you can truly touch your own being, you no longer need someone else to confirm your worth. When you can still hear your inner voice, outer silence no longer feels frightening. There is a kind of peace that doesn't come from others, but from the moment you stop running away from yourself. Stop trying to be lovable just to be loved. Stop performing okay just to be accepted. Stop waiting for someone to come and heal you, because you finally understand that true healing begins within. From the moment you dare to look at your emptiness and name it, it begins to dissolve. From the moment you can sit still in silence without fear, silence turns into a companion, not a punishment. You see, loneliness can also be a teacher, the one who teaches you how to listen, how to love, and how to stay with yourself without losing who you are. One day, you'll realize you don't need someone to understand you. You just need to understand yourself enough not to blame. You don't need someone to stay. You just need to stay close enough to yourself so you no longer need to hide. Because the first and deepest connection always begins with the relationship between you and yourself. From there, all other connections can truly touch you. So if you're going through a period of loneliness, don't rush to fill it with someone else. Stay, not to endure, but to listen. What is it that my heart needs the most right now? Maybe it's a little trust, a little gentleness, a little courage to release the past and look forward. And when you truly reconnect with yourself, you'll realize loneliness was never the enemy. It was the doorway leading you home. The home is within you, where silence is no longer frightening, but becomes the music of your soul. And if one day, in the middle of the night, you feel that emptiness again, remember, you're not alone. You're meeting yourself once more, in the form of stillness. At last we understand. Loneliness is not when no one is there, but when we lose connection with ourselves. Because when you can truly listen within, silence turns into peace. Loneliness is no longer a punishment. It becomes the doorway that leads you back home. If you felt something in these words, subscribe to Mindora, turn on the notification bell, and like and subscribe to walk with us on other journeys of healing, because sometimes all it takes is one gentle story to make you feel a little less lost.